when I go into those places, it's not like a dream. It's in full color. It's cinematic. It feels like I'm, I am there. And I woke up running across a mountain, knowing somehow that behind us, an asteroid was coming towards the Earth. And there was thousands of us. And oh, by the way, people everywhere falling down on their faces, begging God to deliver us from this terror that was coming. So I was in a full panic. And then I felt it when it hit, and I knew it hit the Pacific Ocean. And as soon as it hit, the earth was shaking so much nobody could stand up. I heard a terrible cracking sound, like the mantle of the earth was literally being ruptured. Now, the details of this is in the book, The Wormwood Prophecy, so we don't have time on this program to go into all that. But yeah, it was very, very real to me. I thought that it was happening. As soon as I woke up, I started writing down, and it was as if a voice spoke through my room. By the way, I don't know if there was really an audible voice or if it was just in my head, I don't know. But I heard a single word, and that was the word Apophis. I knew that there was an ancient chaos dragon, an Egyptian god of darkness called Apophis, and I knew that NASA had named an asteroid Apophis. But I really didn't know anything more than that about it, so I got up, I started doing all the research into the asteroid Apophis, because I knew that's what this dream was about, not about a dragon falling out of heaven. So I have a friend that I've known for years that is and has above top secret security clearance, works with flight analysis with NASA, and I got a hold of him. Anyway, a lot of details, they're in the book, but one thing led to another, and I came to believe that international space agencies, including the European Space Agency and NASA, are involved in a cover-up of the potential for Apophis to strike the Earth Friday the 13th, April 2029. So I believe that in 9 years from now, it is more likely than not that Apophis is going to make impact on the earth, and that it will be the fulfillment of Revelation chapter 8, verses 10 and 11, where it talks about the wormwood.
What if asteroid Apophis hits the Earth like NASA had originally projected that it would before it changed its projection back in 2004, 2005? What if this asteroid does indeed hit the Earth on Friday, April 13, 2029? We're going to go through the scenarios, how it would go down, where it would hit, what would unfold, what the domino effect would be, and how to survive, or at least how to prepare to give yourself the best chance to survive. We could say that the blast radius would be about 300 miles. Everything within a 300-mile radius would be vaporized instantly. The fireball from the blast would go up into the atmosphere by about 30 miles or more. It says here that the blast would go through the stratosphere and even reach up into the lower mesosphere, dispersing debris and vaporized material globally. Superheated winds would sweep across vast areas of the earth, igniting fires across cities and wilderness for up to 500, 600 miles out from the blast location. The atmosphere would be filled with ash and particulates, which would contribute to a long-term impact winter, which is basically like a nuclear winter, which would likely trigger a new ice age. It would block out the sun, your crops would die, not just around the blast site, not just 1,000 miles from the blast site, but we're talking about around the whole planet. Crop failures, deaths, chaos, destruction, people starving, famine, pestilence, disease everywhere. That's what we're talking about if this thing hits the Earth as NASA projected that it would. Not to mention the domino effect that would ensue. The satellites would be rendered useless. We would lose our technology. The grid would collapse. You wouldn't have any banking or commerce taking place. Supply chains would be a thing of the past. You would have to forage and try to find food locally. No shipments, no grocery stores, no food on the shelves. It's over. Everything you've ever known in your life, forget it. It's over. We're in a new world now. Nuclear reactors could begin to melt down because the power grids are down. People are dying, you know? I'm just being honest here. And of course, you know, law and order is a memory. There is no law and order. It's the Wild West, and it's the worst version of it. Now let's talk about an ocean impact. If this asteroid makes impact on the Earth and it hits the ocean, it would likely hit the Pacific Ocean. When this thing comes down and hits the ocean, it's going to go straight down to the ocean floor and make a huge crater at the bottom of the ocean. The initial waves, it would be a mega tsunami, the likes of which you couldn't even imagine, would be well over 1,000 feet high, maybe half a mile high. And coastal cities like Los Angeles, New York, Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, they'd be gone within a matter of minutes, literally within minutes. This wave would be moving at about 500 miles an hour, which is about how fast a jetliner travels. Global cooling and crop failures. With sunlight blocked, temperatures would drop significantly across the globe. Growing seasons would be cut short and crops would fail. Widespread famine would set in, leading to starvation and societal collapse. Pestilence and disease. Lack of food and the breakdown of sanitation systems would allow diseases to spread rapidly. Pest infestations such as rats and insects could worsen the situation, causing the spread of plagues in both urban and rural areas. Long-term desolation. The darkened, cold world bring about a new dark age. Infrastructures like healthcare, no more doctor, transportation, and global trade would be obliterated. Small, isolated communities would form, with each group hoarding what little resources they could salvage, and also trying to save whatever technology they could. At least give yourself a chance. You know, if you had just a week, let alone say 30 days, of durable survival food, you would have about 100 times the chance of surviving than more than 99% of the population who doesn't even have a day of survival food. And even though the initial projections were for the California-Mexico border, or maybe even south of Mexico or into the Pacific Ocean, we don't know exactly where it's going to hit. It could hit in Nebraska. We don't know. So, but have a plan. Have a plan in place where you can go. Again, just having a plan gives you a better chance of surviving than 99.9% of humanity. If you're in a coastal region, anywhere in the world, let alone in North America, or even South America, get the hell out now. Sell your house and move. Move to Nebraska. Move to North Dakota. Get out of the coastal areas now while you can. And don't wait till the last minute, because in the weeks leading up to this event, everybody's going to panic and they're all going to be trying to flee. And you're going to be stuck. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. So leave now while you still have time. And make sure you have contingency plans, not just one plan. Have that main plan, but have a plan B and a plan C. Have contingency plans in place. Have multiple evacuation routes planned out in case of roadblocks or other obstacles. Obviously, having a bug out location, preferably underground, again in a bunker or in a cave or something like that, is the best way to go. That will keep you well protected. And stock your location, stock your home, but have another location. You know, even if you can't build a bunker, you should be able to dig a hole, fill it with cement, and bury some stuff there in the backyard or in the woods or somewhere like that. Because you can't just trust that your home is going to be intact when this thing hits the earth. And even if it does remain intact, and say the blast is 2,000-3,000 miles away, right? The people who are fleeing and the people who are desperate and the rioting, marauding bands of people who are on the prowl, they might see your home and they might just decide to raid your home and your wife and, take every little food parcel you have. So keep some food in the home, but also have another location, preferably underground. And one of the things I love about Heaven's Harvest is that they have these beautiful containers that keep the food safe from anything, from insects, from rodents, from rot. It'll keep it dry, it'll keep it safe, it'll keep it fresh, and you can bury it somewhere. And then when 4.5 years from now, 5 years from now, you could dig that out and all your food is good to go. So they have these really durable, sturdy, nice containers. Build community connections now. Because in a post-impact world, it's going to be very hard or even impossible to survive by yourself. You're going to need to start building relationships with like-minded people, and you could do this on Facebook groups, and try to offer your skills and resources to contribute to a group where everybody can kind of help each other and prop each other up, because it's not just about yourself, it's about helping the other person, and then they have skills and resources that you don't have. You might be a doctor, right? This person might be a carpenter, and this person might be a dentist, and this person might be a veterinarian, and this person might be, whatever, a writer or something like that. And you're going to need to have that diverse range of skills and knowledge and resources post-impact. Like Apophis hitting the earth is terrifying, right? But by being aware, you can be prepared. And while there's no guarantee that you'll survive, even if you implement the best preparation tactics, being prepared gives you 100 times more of a likelihood of surviving than everybody else, because nobody else is even aware, let alone prepared. Begin learning those survival skills now. If you don't know how to grow crops, learn how to do that. Start practicing now so you're not caught with your pants down when this thing hits the earth and you're in a post-impact world. If you don't know how to start a fire, if you don't know how to fish or run a fishing line, if you don't know how to hunt, if you're not familiar with what types of plants you can consume and which ones are poisonous, start learning that stuff. Start practicing that stuff now. You got 4.5 years. It's going to go by like that. Remember, the future belongs to those who begin to prepare today. So begin preparing now.
The giant asteroid Wormwood in 2029. I was given sealed instructions to be released at a future date. There is a biblical precedence for this sealed instruction in Job chapter 33 verses 14 to 18. For God does speak, now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds, he may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings, to turn them from wrongdoing and keep them from pride, to preserve them from the pit, their lives from perishing by the sword. One of these sealed instructions to be released at a specific time had to do with the Pope resigning. In 2010, I went to bed, and at around 2 a.m. in the morning I saw this vivid image, very strange sound that was moving through the Vatican, and then I saw darkness rising up over the Vatican, and then like that I was awake. As soon as I woke up, I started to write down what I had seen, but instead what I wrote down is, Pope Benedict XVI is going to resign in April 2012. I went on many media programs and said that this was going to happen. No pope had ever retired in over 500 years, and everybody, especially my Catholic friends, were emailing me and they were saying, Tom, you're going to ruin your ministry. Popes don't retire, they die in office, you need to stop saying this. The date came and went, and it didn't happen. In February of 2013, the Vatican makes this major global announcement. Pope Benedict XVI has retired from the papal office. Now that same day, the Vatican's media outlet, the L'Osservatore Romano, gave an interview to the New York Times. People can Google this and read it for themselves. L'Osservatore Romano published an article. They also published one in the New York Times in which they made a revelation. They said Pope Benedict XVI had actually secretly resigned when he returned from a trip in March. He resigned in March 2012. It was accepted by the Curia in April of 2012. The Vatican classified this for your eyes only. CIA level, top secret security stuff. Nobody anywhere could know anything about this. Now, when it happened that my prediction prophecy was proven right, my phone rang non-stop. Everybody, including CNN, was begging me to come on their program, and they wanted to know who was my insider at the Vatican. I had another sealed instruction. It was sheer Bible prophecy from Revelation chapter 8. This one was the most terrifying experience I've ever personally had, which conflicts with me because I like to be positive, I like to talk about positive things, I like to be filled with hope. So approximately 1 year ago now, I went to bed, same scenario, 2 a.m. in the morning, and all of a sudden, I woke up into this panoramic, what almost like a film that's playing out in front of me, and I'm in the middle of it. And what I first thought I was looking at was a giant fiery dragon, deep up in space, moving, undulating like a serpent, racing towards the earth. Then suddenly my point of view changed, and now I was up above the object, and I could see that it was not a fiery dragon, but rather it was a giant space rock, an asteroid. And the way it was turning as it was moving through the space, and the light of the sun was glistening off of the elements of the stone, it only gave it the appearance that it was moving back and forth. Now all of a sudden I'm back on Earth again, and now I am surrounded by literally tens of thousands of people, and we are on a mountain, and we are running for our lives, and people everywhere are screaming and begging God to deliver them from what is coming. And I turned, and I looked over my shoulder, and I can see this fiery mountain basically, this giant rock entering into the atmosphere, burning as it comes through the atmosphere, breaking apart as it comes through the atmosphere. A huge part of it strikes the ocean. A huge part of it strikes the earth, and all of a sudden the earth is shaking so violently that none of us can stand up. We're all knocked off of our feet. It was the most horrific thing. I can hear this terrible sound as if the earth is literally cracking, like the mantle of the earth is breaking apart. And now I'm looking back over my shoulder again, and this giant wall of water, just an enormous tsunami, hundreds of feet tall, coming up over the top of this mountain. And again, everybody's trying to run. Then 2 large hands came down underneath my arms and lifted me up into space, and now I'm looking down upon the earth. And here's an important part of this entire thing. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what would happen if an asteroid of that size were to impact the earth. But what I saw, I later found to be exactly how scientists describe what would transpire. With the waters boiling beneath this giant burning rock, the aerosol coming up off of that, entering into the upper atmosphere, setting in motion hurricane activity. The second part, hitting the earth, causing a volcano to begin erupting, filling the atmosphere. I almost fell out of bed on my face. I mean, I had cold chills all over me. I'd never seen anything this vivid or terrifying. I start writing it down, but then all of a sudden it was as if a voice, I don't know if this was just in my head or if it was an audible sound in the room, but it was as if a voice spoke, and it said one word, Apophis. Now Apophis was an ancient Egyptian god of the darkness, of chaos. At first I thought it was a dragon. NASA had discovered an asteroid in 2004 that they named Apophis. So because what I saw was literally a space rock, when I got out of bed, I immediately went and started doing research. One thing led to the other, and learned that this asteroid at first was on NASA's radar as being an NEO, a near-Earth object, that they believed that in 2004 had the potential to impact the Earth. They still believe it's possible. I believe Apophis is from the ancient prophecy about wormwood in the book of Revelation. I believe in prophecy. I believe in Bible prophecy. I believe this event is going to happen. Revelation chapter 8 verse 10 says a star fell from heaven, and in Greek it's called aster. That is where the word asteroid comes from. Revelation chapter 8 verse 10 says, and the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star, aster, from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell on the third part of the rivers and on the fountains of waters. The cover-up by Not a Straight Answer Agency. Apophis is a real asteroid, and here's what NASA is saying. They're saying it probably isn't going to strike the Earth in 2029, so they changed their opinion a little bit. It still could, they're saying, but here's what they're saying, but it's going to come so close to the Earth that it's going to knock the satellites out that are in orbit around this planet. Now, this is a monster rock, and I talked to several astronomers, including a friend of mine that works at NASA and has above top secret security clearance, and plus, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis that works at the Pentagon, put me in contact with an impact specialist and all these scientists. They said, there is no way in the world that the stone moving 28,000 miles per hour through space that's going to cover tens of thousands of miles before it gets here in 9 years is going to come so close, and it's going to knock out the satellites, and yet be assured that it's not going to hit the planet. They all said, that's rubbish. It's a cover-up. Here's what I believe. I believe it because I saw it. I believe it because what I saw and the way it came to me has not yet one time in my life failed. including the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI against all odds. It has not happened one time yet that it didn't unfold exactly the way I saw it. So I'm speaking from personal experience, but it's been validated by the facts, after the fact. I've often asked, why in the world did God show me that Pope Benedict XVI was going to resign the month and the year that he did? It's one of those things that was absolutely improbable. No pope had done that in over 500 years. The fact that I was the only one that was able to predict it, and to the month and year now, should cause people to consider something more important like the Wormwood prophecy. So, I believe it in all my heart. I will look you in the eye and give you a new prediction like I did when I told you the Pope was going to resign, and everybody said it would never happen. In April of 2029, Apophis is going to strike the earth. I had 2 different astronomers telling me that I wasn't even reading Revelation chapter 8 correctly, that the first 4 trumpets are the 4 stages of a singular event. Trumpet number 1 sounds, and fire falls down from heaven and sets the fields and trees on fire. That's the first debris that's being pushed out ahead of an incoming asteroid. Revelation chapter 8 verse 7 reads, "The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mixed with blood, and they were cast on the earth. And the third part of trees was burned up, and all green grass was burned up. Trumpet number 2 sounds, and a giant stone burning like a lamp falls into the sea and wipes out the ships. And this is a breaking up of a binary asteroid or a giant asteroid, like Apophis." Revelation chapter 8 verses 8 to 9 says, "And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed." Trumpet number 3 sounds, and this is the one that's actually named Wormwood, contaminates a third of the earth's waters, and many people die as a result of it. Revelation chapter 8 verses 10 to 11 states, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven, burning as it were a lamp, and it fell on the third part of the rivers, and on the fountains of waters. And the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter." And then trumpet number 4 sounds, and a third part of the stars and the sun and the moon are darkened, which is the result of all this debris rising up into the jet stream, getting spread around the earth and blocking out a huge portion of the sunlight. Revelation chapter 8 verses 12 reads, "And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise." It's all a singular event as a result of an incoming massive stone, which is what Apophis is. Look at Revelation chapter 9 verses 1 to 2, which says, "And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth. And to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit." Now we've talked about the first 4 angels. The fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star. So first of all, here's this term, a star. I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth. That sounds more like wormwood. But then it says this, "And to him," yes, this is a him, "was given the key of the bottomless pit, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened." He's doing 2 things here. He's got a key, so it is an angel, but he also has an instrument that is part of the judgment, and that's why I think that Wormwood is very likely both an asteroid and an angel. It could be Apophis striking the earth in 2029, but also as an instrument of judgment that connects it then to an angel. The date of the rapture. People have different points of view about the rapture. Assume only for a moment, and I'm not setting any dates here, but assume for a moment that Apophis impacts the earth Friday, April 13th, 2029, as I saw in my night vision, and that is the middle of the Great Tribulation period. What would that mean for a pre-tribulation rapture believer? You gotta back up 3.5 years, which brings us to 2025. The Feast of Tabernacles falls between October 7th and 13th of 2025. Somewhere around this time, a pre-tribulation rapture may occur. Add 3 years and 6 months and you're right on April 13th, 2029. If you're a post-tribulation believer, then it's another 3.5 years beyond April 13th, 2029. That is really something for you to study and think about based on your own eschatology. If Apophis is the biblical wormwood, think of what that means in terms of the imminence of a rapture, but also in terms of the second coming of Jesus Christ. what are some official facts about Apophis? Here are some of the facts about how large it'll be and some of the facts about Apophis. It was discovered at the Kitt Peak National Observatory, 2004. That's when NASA named it Apophis. It is 370 meters wide, or 1,200 foot wide, or 4 NFL football fields wide. It weighs an estimated 20 million metric tons. It is traveling at 28,000 miles per hour, and I'm telling you it's going to hit the Earth. Here's what NASA's experts and scientists say. If it does hit the Earth, by the mapping technology, it'll probably come down somewhere around the border of Mexico and California. It is a highly densely populated area. Another NASA scientist said, think of it this way. Take every nuclear warhead that is on Earth today, China, America, Russia, everybody, put them in one place and let them go off all at one time. And that's what's going to happen when Apophis strikes the Earth. The impact on the Earth is going to be equivalent to over 1 billion tons of TNT, or to put that into perspective, it will be equivalent to 65,000 Hiroshima bombs going off all at one time in one location, or equivalent to almost every nuke on Earth today, going off all at the same time. And it would have the multiple effects all mentioned in Revelation 8 in sequential order. There is a massive cover-up, as NASA don't want this information getting out any sooner than it's going to. So, right now, they're doing mitigation efforts in the background, which we can talk about this as part of Trump's Space Force, trying to figure out a way that they can stop this from impacting the Earth. President Trump announced that he was creating a new branch of service, the Space Force. And if you look at the reasons behind it and its funding, it's almost all having to do with near-Earth objects, asteroids, and the mitigation of those asteroids. One of the agendas was this wormwood prophecy. I have friends that are around the president and they are prophecy believers, and they have been in his ear about this issue and about wormwood. Some of them are Christian scientists who are also talking about this wormwood prophecy. To add another element to this, at the National Cathedral just last week, they just anointed and blessed a brand new King James version of the Bible. And the order is that every commanding officer in the Space Force has to be sworn into duty using that Bible. So, Donald Trump and his administration also recognize that there is a supernatural element around this issue. Since this vision and hearing the astronauts and scientists describe what I saw, I look at Scripture very differently now. Like Luke chapter 21 verses 25 to 28, through 28 it says, "And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars," and that word is the asteroid. "There shall be signs in the asteroids and upon the earth, distress of nations." That's exactly what I saw. With perplexity, they don't know what to do about it. But to finish the verse, the sea and the waves roaring, that's exactly what I saw. Men's hearts failing them for fear and looking after those things that are coming. We will eventually be able to see this asteroid with our naked eye. We shall see the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. And when you see these things begin to come to pass, then lift up your eyes and look up. Lift up your heads, for your redemption draws nigh. By 2025, people will be able to look up in space and see this Apophis or wormwood with their home and fairly sophisticated telescopes. 2 years after that, they'll be able to look up in space and see it with the naked eye. By that time, there's going to be mass chaos and panic. This coming of the asteroid could cause a worldwide turning to God. I saw people everywhere on their faces begging God. You know, the New Testament says some were saved with fear, right? Hating even the garment spotted by the flesh. Some people are not motivated until something catastrophic like this happens. But the church has also been asleep. Not everybody, but a lot, and this is going to be a wake-up call for people everywhere who will be turning to God. Many of the people in the church is going to use this as the greatest evangelism opportunity perhaps in the history of humankind. It's going to be a great opportunity to reach the greatest, largest number of people because at that time everybody is going to have this on their mind. They're all going to be talking about it. They're all going to be begging God to deliver them. It's going to be a great opportunity. It could literally be what instigates the next great awakening. Based on my study of the Bible, there is definitely a sliver of hope. There is a precedent in Scripture, the great prophecy of Joel. You know, the great armies of the locusts are going to come over the mountains, but then it ends with God saying, "But if you will turn to me with all of your heart and body and soul and mind, rend your heart and not your garments, I will give you a blessing instead of a curse." Joel chapter 2 verse 12 says, "Therefore also now, said the Lord, turn you even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. And rend your heart and not your garments, and turn to the Lord your God. For he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and of great kindness, and repents him of the evil. Who knows if he will return and repent? and leave a blessing behind him. There is a precedent in Scripture. God sends Jonah to Nineveh to tell them in 40 days from now, you guys are all toast, but what did they do? From the king on down, they repented in sackcloth and ashes, and God delayed the judgment. But despite all that, I believe with all the certainty that I could have, that on Friday the 13th, 2029, Apophis is going to fulfill the wormwood prophecy of Revelation 8, and it is going to impact the earth. Dear friends, we have reached the end of Tom Horn's prophecy. Tom Horn already passed away in 2023, but when he was alive, he was a controversial American author, speaker, and researcher known for his work in the areas of Christian eschatology, prophecy, and the paranormal. He was a self-described prophetic analyst who gained notoriety for his books and lectures exploring topics like the end times, ancient mysteries, and the occult. Horn's work often drew upon biblical interpretation, historical research, and his own personal experiences to present a unique perspective on current events and future prophecies. Horn's writing and speaking often focused on the potential for a global conflict with a new world order and the role of the occult in shaping world events. He was a vocal critic of what he perceived as a growing influence of Satanism and the occult in society, and he frequently warned of the dangers of these forces. He also explored connections between ancient civilizations, biblical prophecy, and modern-day events, often incorporating his own interpretations of ancient texts and symbols. Horn's work was often met with both praise and criticism. Some viewed him as a prophetic voice warning of impending dangers, while others criticized his interpretations as sensationalist and lacking in scholarly rigor. Despite the controversy surrounding his work, Tom Horn remained a popular figure in Christian circles, particularly among those interested in eschatology and prophecy. His books and lectures continued to be widely read and discussed even after his passing. So, with this in mind, what do you think of Tom's prophetic dream and analysis of wormwood and the coming Great Tribulation? Are you now ready to meet up with the Lord Jesus Christ? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and I'll see you in our next video.